Charles Purcell presents.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, hey, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, it has been a while.
What you been up to?
Oh, nothing much. Same. How about you?
Oh, well, actually, things are really popping here.
What do you mean?
Well, I've become an influencer.
What are you talking about? An influencer?
Yeah, I'm an influencer. I got a YouTube channel, and I got a Instagram and Reels and Threads and X's and TikToks, and I'm all over the place. I'm going viral.
No, you're not. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, that's the way to go. I'm an influencer. I'm making money. You can't believe how much money I'm making.
Money? How do you make money doing this?
Oh, you're so out of touch. How old are you? You get money for doing this. You get, for the more likes you get, if you got something, you got a post that goes viral, you get paid for that, like YouTube will pay you. And
They will.
Yes, I can't believe you don't know this. Don't you use YouTube?
I don't know, just to listen to music or watch movies or something. I don't know what's going on.
You are so out of it. And, but the best way to make money is you influence people to buy things, and then the companies that sell the things will give you like a cut.
So you're a salesperson working on commission.
Well, that makes it sound so crude. No, I'm like a personality, right? I'm an influencer. That means people love me and they like my taste, and the fact that my taste happens to align with the company that's selling it. Well, okay. That's just a bonus for everybody. It's a win-win-win.
Wait a minute. How did you don't know anything about anything. How can you be an influencer?
What do you mean I don't know anything about anything?
I mean, you're not like an expert in anything. You don't have, what do you talk about? What do you tell people?
What do you mean?
Well, what is it that you're sharing with them?
You mean like my content?
Oh, God. Okay, yeah. What's your content?
That's just it. It's content.
Well, it has to mean something. You have to be about something.
No, that's the crazy part. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to, say, for example, I just make a lot of little pictures and videos of me walking around in my favorite sweatpants. And I can talk about anything I want. I can talk about how my day's going. Like, I'll say, I met my friend today, and we had a nice talk, and I told him about my viral TikToks.
So that's what you'll do, and that's content.
Yeah. And then I'll just casually happen to mention, you like my new sweats? They're so navy blue. And look at the string tie, how it ties on top there, and the elastic on the cuffs there down by the ankles.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's all you do. You just talk about your day, whatever. I had tacos for lunch, and I ran into my friend, and how about these nice sweats?
And this is a living? This is how you're making your living?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's incredible.
It sounds awful. It sounds like the lowest thing you could do. Like it's exploitation. It's just like pure, unadulterated, mindless consumerism crap.
What kind of a negative Nelly are you today? No, this is good.
So your content is just like BSing with people about how your day was?
Oh, sometimes, but then other times, I could talk about all sorts of things. Like, especially people love to talk about mental health. And whether or not you're PTSD or ADHD or autistic, or they love to hear about that.
Well, what the hell do you know about any of that?
Well, I don't.
Well, then how can you?
You're still not getting it. You don't have to know. There's so much out there. There's so much content out there. Like, for example, I'll just take another person, another content creator, another influencer, and I'll just share their video, right? It's a reel or a TikTok or whatever they call them. And then I'll be there right there next to them, like in a side-by-side video, and I'll just be listening.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm just listening to what they say. So I don't even have to create the content. Somebody else already created it. I put their content on my page, and I show me just listening and kind of, I'll like nod my head, like, yeah, I agree with that, or kind of rub my chin or go look very interested. And that's all you have to do, And there's this one app where you can make with artificial intelligence, just give them a picture of you, right? and then they'll automatically make you react to the other video. Like, oh, that's interesting. And you don't even have to do it.
So wait a minute. AI will just make you react to another person's video.
Yeah, and the app does the whole thing. It chooses the video. At the most, I have to just maybe put in some preferences. Like, oh, I'd like to talk about water safety today. Oh, how to keep your kids safe in the water. Whatever. You just, they got these random topic generators, and they'll choose it for you. And then AI will go find the content that's applicable. And then they'll take your picture and make your little reaction faces, and they'll post it, and they'll make little clips, and they'll put them out on all the different platforms.
So how?
And
so what do you do?
Well, that almost nothing. That's the point. It's so great. And then I get money because people watch it and maybe buy the product.
Wait, if there's another product here?
Well, there can be, but yeah, often there is. But I'll just get, if it goes viral, then I get a cut.
But you didn't do anything.
Right.
And then you're okay with this.
Yeah.
Man.
You should get into it. It's a great way to, it's really great. You can make your own content, but these days you mostly even don't have to. You just get an AI to automatically generate stuff, and you can even put your own little avatar in there if you can, it'll make you the person talking. And all you do really pretty much is, at the most, you pick some topics, and I'm not totally into this is kind of new still. I'm not totally into the fully automated stuff. I'm still making some of my own. I got the phone and the what do you call it? The thing that holds it?
A tripod?
Yeah, a tripod. And those circle lights, that go around it, and I'll talk for a while, but mostly the AI is a lot better because it knows how to shoot everything out there.
And plus you don't know anything about anything to share with anybody.
Well, that's true. Let's see, what do I know about?
What have we talked about where you knew something?
I have to give that some thought. But in the meantime, hey, look at this hat I bought. Or the company gave me. It's even better. Oh, companies give you stuff.
Really?
Oh, my goodness. Companies will give you stuff. Whole countries. Like I know some people who got like a lot of money from Russia to talk smack about Ukraine or something. And they don't even really know what's going on, but they get all this money
from Russia.
Yeah.
Is this legal?
It's like the Wild West out there on the internet and with all the apps and the TikToks and stuff. Who knows? It doesn't matter. Even if it's not legal, it'll take them. You kidding? Like they could ever figure this out? Like the people who write the laws can even understand or figure out what's going on. So how they're going to arrest me if they don't even can figure out the laws themselves? They don't even have laws for this stuff. And if they do, they don't understand them. It's like, I feel perfectly safe doing this for quite a while.
Man, you're a bad person.
No, I'm a good person.
No, you're a bad person.
Okay, whatever. All right, well, watch for my TikTok later. You'll be in it.
No, I don't want any part of this.
Well, there's nothing you can do about that.
Okay, all right. I'll see you later.
Okay, then. Take care then. Bye.
Poor Reginald. An actual panic attack. He was reporting from a remote location on some rather extraordinary circumstances happening in a small town somewhere in people who tell the story don't actually recall. In the Dakotas, maybe, somewhere. One of those Midwestern outposts. And the major national reporters, New York Times and such, they had no interest in traveling to such a remote location. They thought it was somewhat below them. But Reginald knew that this was an extraordinary circumstance and deserved to be reported to the nation. So he and just a few other locals had the responsibility to report to the nation. They had understandings with the New York Times and the Washington Post and with the major television and radio networks that they would be stringers, as they were called, for those major outlets. So it was quite a big responsibility, and Reginald took it quite seriously, as did the others, but the events of the day got the best of poor Reginald. No one really knows the story. It was a small town, and it seemed to be overrun, first by an indiscriminate gaggle of hoodlums of some sort, running a bit wild, and then inexplicably several large gorillas. No euphemisms here, actual gorillas, very large gorillas, several 6, 5, 7 gorillas marauding through the town. No one knew where they came from. The town didn't even have a zoo. It was a mystery. Luckily, no one was harmed. There was some property damage, and many treasured trees and foliage of the town were trampled and eaten by the gorillas. Reginald had never seen a gorilla, except in the movies. They were much larger than the gorillas he'd seen, mostly men in gorilla suits, such as in the old Tarzan movies. These gorillas whomped and stomped and roamed and ran and made a great cacophony and were menacing in their appearance. Reginald dutifully reported all the details on the gorilla rampage, which would be quite a story in and of itself, but it turned out to be only a small detail in a most extraordinary day. Because on the heels of the gorillas came an invasion of human zombies. No, you're not listening to the plot of a Hollywood movie. This happened to Reginald and to the reporters and to the people of this small Dakota town. He was sent with a small group of his colleagues in a large, old but reliable vehicle, windows shut tight, to drive out into the area where the zombies were reported to have been seen. And indeed, Reginald and his colleagues saw the zombies heading into town as they in their vehicle headed out of town to the reported area, and yes, there they were, in full zombie fashion, walking menacingly yet awkwardly, drawn to the vehicle in their menacing ways. But of course, zombies don't have superhuman strength, at least not in the more reputable zombie movies. And again, this was no movie. Zombies have relatively little strength. Certainly no more than the living man, and quite a bit less, according to Reginald's ultimate reporting. And so Reginald reported. Pencil and pad in hand, he took his notes. Then later at the hotel, typed them up on his portable typewriter. These were in the days before digital communication. Reginald was not well versed in the technology even of his day. Somehow, through the assistance of more expert colleagues. Stories were telegraphed or wired or whatever to anxious readers around the nation. Well, the guerrillas had their fun, it seemed, and disappeared into the zombie story. The zombies had their fun, and there was great melee caused as they paraded through town, and all the townspeople made mad dashes to their homes and got behind locked doors and shut tight windows. Those in public spaces, stumbling over one another, ran and hid. But in the end, no injuries, no deaths, but great fear. One tavern in particular, Crenshaw's Eatery, was a sight of great concern as patrons huddled and tussled over upturned tables, crowding into small offices and restrooms, retreating behind the bar, some climbing up posts and pillars, some literally hanging from light fixtures. Oh, it was a frightful scene. But in the end, the zombies disappeared just as the guerrillas had disappeared. Reginald struggled on how to report such things. He could find no rhyme nor reason. That was for others to decide. Reginald thought it's his job as a reporter just to report what he sees, and that's exactly what he did. He reported on the what and the when and the where. As for the hows and the whys, he hadn't a clue, didn't even venture a guess. All of this now is still in daylight hours. It's not even nighttime yet, and the story continues. And this is the part of the story that gets a little fuzzy, because Reginald's reporting was a bit fuzzy. What we know is that the town, having survived the guerrillas and the zombies, was now expecting some sort of great doom as night fell. There was a great rally in the town, talk about what to do, expecting the worst. But these many years later, reporting has been lost as to what the concern was. In the center of this small Dakota town, there was a large bridge, which overlooked the main park where townspeople gathered for such events, whether planned or unplanned. And in an effort to procure the ideal location, to take in this event, to hear every word, to see the townspeople in their hour of worry and despair, discussing the great event, well, Reginald perched himself on this great high bridge, but found himself seated on a precariously small ledge, seated on the outside of the small railing, with nothing between Reginald and a great and surely fatal fall. We're not sure how Reginald found himself in this position, a decision he would not make voluntarily, only by coercion or simple mistake, but somehow Reginald found himself clinging desperately to a small rail behind him now, mind you, and looking down at what he considered the most frightful circumstance of his still quite young life. The activities of the town, the discussion of the townspeople, of the peril that lie ahead, continued. No one seemed to notice Reginald, his precarious perch, and his now quite evident panic attack. He had suffered, Reginald had, a panic attack in his very young days. We won't get into those circumstances. I mention it only because Reginald had some experience, and now, on this high bridge, he knew what a panic attack was. I'm having a panic attack. He knew it. And among these throngs of people, he felt entirely alone, as though consumed by his own aura, an aura of doom. He did his best to sit quietly, firmly, resolutely, locking his arms around the small metal railing. and slowly but surely inched his way, buttocks by buttocks, left then right, inched his way back through a small opening, a small gap in the railing, which held his life safely for the moment. But with each small move, with each small shift, the risk of a miscalculation which would send him plummeting to certain death. Speakers took to the podium. Shouts came from the crowd. Decisions needed to be made. The pitch of enthusiasm grew among those gathered, concerned for their lives as Reginald was worried about his. But theirs was a public concern of shouts, debate, fiery rhetoric, warnings of what may come. While Reginald's drama was happening as though in a cocoon, unseen by everyone. Reginald was completely and entirely alone. From others' vantage point, even if they glanced over at Reginald, they just saw a man seated, having no idea of his inner struggle. Eventually, Reginald inched his way backward, away from his danger point, and feeling confident that he had maneuvered a sufficient distance, he let go the tight grip of his lifeline, the thin metal railing, and fell backwards onto the pavement of the bridge, his pad and pencil falling hundreds of feet below, landing harmlessly but pointedly on a boy in the crowd, whose natural curiosity made him wonder how a fluttering notebook would come from the sky. He called out his concern. Others witnessed Reginald's short but awkward backwards fall onto the bridge proper. Obviously in some sort of state, they went to his assistance. At least that's the assumption, because as the story's been told, we know Reginald's next memory was in a room, a sort of a locker room, where he was able to tell the story of his panic attack. Others milling about provided empathy, sympathy, comfort. But most, all, of course, were more concerned with the purpose of their gathering. How to defend from the incoming calamity, the great threat before them. After his near-death experience on the high bridge, his panic attack, and his inexplicable escape, Reginald never finished his reporting. A smattering of eyewitnesses over the many, many years have pieced together the story I've told you today. The very odd story of townspeople struck by fear, first by gorillas of all things, and then by so-called zombies of horror novels and film, suddenly real, and then an impending doom lost to the oral histories. Only the fact that it was coming made the oral histories, not its nature, or whether or not this danger arrived, or was averted, or was combated. People speculate that Reginald led a quiet life, taking up a quiet trade, and never returned to his vocation as a journalist, a reporter. In the few scattered pages of Reginald's notes that were found, some personal reflections on how proud he was as a reporter, and especially in this instance, where he was just one of a small number reporting to the nation a story that seemed first insignificant, then odd and perplexing. Most people doubted the story itself. Gorillas? Zombies? It was dismissed as a legend at best and fabrication at worst. But Reginald was proud. And then his work and his life was lost. According to distant relatives who know little to nothing about Reginald's work and his life, were able to tell us that he lived a long life to an old age, but really nothing else about the man. What I've told you is what we know. And I apologize for the disquieting and deeply unsatisfying lack of details, of closure regarding the full story. But we know a small town in the Dakotas survived, and we know that Reginald survived. And we can only hope that both of these acts of survival resulted in happy lives, in fulfillment. All we can hope for each other and for ourselves. Because our stories are never finished. That's the nature of human life. Your story, my story, will contain components that may seem incredible, unbelievable, fabricated, just made up. But we'll never know. Everyone's story will be largely, mostly, unknown by others, and will surely end unfinished.
This episode of Charles Purcell Presents is available right now wherever you find your podcasts, or go to the website charlespurcell.com for the full archive and all the other series in the podcast family. Follow me on Facebook, write to me at charlespurcell@gmail. Thanks to our flagship terrestrial station, River West Radio, riverwestradio.com. Theme music composed and performed by Peter Donalds. From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell.